Hey everybody, I hope you guys are all doing okay, and welcome to a very special episode here in our completionist 100% run of Might and Magic VIII. Now, what I'm about to say might sound a bit odd, but I can already tell that this is going to be my favorite episode of the entire series. And the reason that might sound odd is because it's pretty early on in this series. We've got a lot to do. We basically have the entire game to play. All of the stuff I've been doing so far, including what we're going to be doing in this episode, is what I consider the almost a pre-playthrough thing, that it'll be after this when the playthrough really starts. So, if I'm saying this is my favorite episode, does that mean that the entire series is downhill from here? The answer is no. The answer is this episode is special just because we're going to be doing a really, really crazy thing, and it's just going to be like a really special moment. The rest of the series is going to be fun, and in fact, I think that what we are going to do here, and as well as what we've done in the past couple episodes, is going to help make this series even more fun. So it's going to be special in that way as well. But enough beating about the bush. It's time to get into it, because I did leave you on a cliffhanger about this one as well, like I did about a lot of the stuff we've done in the last few videos. For the thing that we need to do in this episode, we need the in-game day to be Sunday. And it's Monday right now, so we are one day off.
Welcome.
So we are going to have to
A quiet room, you say?
kill about 6 days. And we'll just do them one at a time. Now, Sundays, I like Sundays.
A quiet room.
They're a
you
bit of
say?
a special day for me. They are my day of relaxation. They're a day when I just like to be quiet and just contemplate things, maybe go for a walk. I try, if I have any chores I need to get done, I try to get them done on Saturday, so that I have Sunday truly to myself.
Welcome.
So it's a day that
A
I've
quiet room, you say?
grown to quite enjoy, and there's nothing like a good Sunday to really get you in the right mindset to face the following week.
Welcome. A quiet
So
room, you say?
I do really like Sundays. Sundays are a special day for me, and as it turns out,
Welcome. A quiet room, you
a
say?
special day in this game as well. Because Sundays,
A quiet
well,
room, you say?
Sundays were special in the other games as well, Might and Magic 6 and 7, because that was the day when you were able to go to the arena. And in this game as well, there is also an arena. We'll be looking at it later. But in addition to the arena, Sundays are the days when you can go to Garrote Gorge from Ravenshore.
Ready to go.
Ooh, that audio was almost not garbled. I could sense that it was getting a bit distorted by the end, but it sounded almost unglitched, which I would say is a good sign. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start saving our game as usual, and this well isn't doing anything. It might possibly be a stat improving well for a stat that we all have too much of. We'll be investigating stuff like that in future videos. We'll have ways of interacting with these wells, and excuse me, sir, I'm trying to talk. But yeah, we'll deal with those later. It's really not even worth troubling ourselves over. But I mean, since the wells are right here, we'll we'll see what they do. This one as well doesn't seem to be a well that... There are lots of wells here. More than I remember. This one gives us fire resistance. We'll take 2 of each, and I think this one, rather than being based on how low your stat is, just has a limited number of charges and then stops working. We'll see if that's the case. Well, at 15 it stopped working for you, and it stopped working for you guys at 10. So let's see if that's how it works, or whether it is oh, where was it? Oh, the fire well was a bit further off. I'll quickly get this dealt with. No, it'll raise it to 10 and then it'll stop. So, sure, we'll get a bit of fire resistance. And ooh, also I picked up some horseshoes. I'm gonna give these to Sari, just because I want to get her to master sword as quickly as possible. And I hate what I'm doing right now because I'm getting distracted by things that are not the main objective that I came here for. For the main objective, we are actually gonna have to keep going over here until we find a cave. This cave right here. By the way, before we get into this cave, I'm just gonna stop for a bit because I love the music in this area. It just gets me in such a just gets me in such a mood for adventure. I love it so much. Like, I wish this could be part of the soundtrack for my life. Anyway, we're gonna enter. And
it's a little dark in here.
It is a little dark in here. We can fix that with maybe some torchlight action. Much better. And I'm gonna save my game in another slot. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Ithilgor's cave. And here's a person who can teach a skill that is simply called dragon, or dragon ability. And that might seem like an odd thing because we're told that vampires can't learn it, clerics can't learn it, neither can dark elf patriarchs. We'll just ignore the misgendering there. But, you know, none of our characters can learn it, and you might be wondering, well, what other character from the ones in the initial list could possibly learn something called dragon? Like it wouldn't make sense for like a knight or a necromancer or a troll or a minotaur. Like, so who could possibly learn an ability called dragon? And the answer, I mean, it's one of those situations where the answer really is pretty obvious. The answer is, of course, a dragon is the race that can learn the ability called dragon. And as it turns out, right here is a dragon that we are going to recruit into our party, Ithilgor the dragon, who naturally starts with the dragon ability, the same way dark elves start with a dark elf, and vampires start with vampire. They are racial abilities that you can think of as small class-specific or race-specific, depending on how you see it, spell schools. So, and each time you promote the tier of the ability, like from normal to expert to master to grandmaster, you improve the spells and you also gain another ability. And here you can see the list for vampire. Here you can see the list for dark elf, and like we already have all of these because this, you know, absolute beast of a level 50 character starts with grandmaster in that. And dragon also has some really cool things. At master level, it gains flight, so you wouldn't really need an elemental spellcaster for you to fly around. But my favorite thing is at the expert level, the exploding fireball, which is devastating attacks. So what we're gonna do is you can also become Grandmaster and identify item, but we can pay people to do that for us. Long term, maybe we'll you can also become Grandmaster Perception. Alright. Grandmaster Learning, you know what? This is an investment early on. Put 2 points there. Let's say 2 points into Perception, and I was gonna put points into Dragon, but we don't really need it yet. Like, how cool is that? We have a dragon in our party. And you might be thinking, hey, that's pretty cool. Like, but is this the crazy thing that you were talking about that you were gonna do in this episode? And like, you might be wondering, you know, this game is pretty old. It's old news at this point that dragons are recruitable characters. Like, yes, back when the game was new, like, you know, like back when I played it as a kid, when I walked in here, you know, went to Ithilgor's cave, talked to Ithilgor, and found out that I could hire him, it blew my mind. At this point, like, everybody knows you can get dragons, so that's not even a thing. So I'm here to tell you that is not the main thing we're going to be doing in this episode, and in fact, I haven't come up with a title for the episode yet. That happens while I'm editing, like some phrase will pop out and I'll make that the episode title. But I think the episode title eventually will give you a hint as to what the thing is that we're going to be doing in this episode. And like, we are so close to being able to do it. I'll save over this slot. What we're gonna do is we are going to go in this direction in the Dragon Cave, and what's gonna happen is we are not supposed to go past this point. These dragon flight leaders, and in fact all the dragons around us, are gonna turn hostile. So pretty soon we should see, yep, the indicator has turned yellow. What we're gonna do is we're gonna run pretty far, and I think this should be safe. Now I'm gonna save my game. You might be like, you are clearly suicidal. You're gonna save your game surrounded by a bunch of hostile dragons. Like, why would you possibly do that? And the answer is going to become apparent when I load my game. Which, let me just make sure that is the correct slot. When you load my game, look what has happened. These dragons are no longer hostile. We can walk freely through. Now, if you read guides on the internet, there's a lot of people have talked about how to do this, and usually what they recommend is going through with invisibility, which we do have. But the problem with invisibility is, well, let me try invisibility as well. The problem with invisibility is, yes, okay, they won't see you, they won't attack you, but it won't stop them from going hostile. And the other problem with invisibility is, these dragons have really awkward hitboxes, like they're flying, but you can't just walk under them. The game will consider, if you try to walk under them, that you're colliding with them. And if you do that, invisibility will immediately become dispelled. So the only way to really properly, safely do this is by exploiting this little, I wouldn't say it's a glitch, because the game is working as intended. It's just that the way the game was built was perhaps not anticipating the kind of player behavior that I just engaged in right now. And before we go forward, I do need to... In fact, I'm going to have to... You know what, I can use Because now that I've gone past this point, I can reveal that this test save down here was me testing this exact thing. So I no longer have to worry about accidentally clicking on it and spoiling it through, you know, the screenshot and area name that the game displays. One thing that I need you to know is if you're doing this, I'll load this game, I'll go forward, and let's say immediately after it turns hostile, what if I save then? What if I save at this point that's very close to those Dragonflight leaders? And now if I load this, well, things are still green. You might think that we've gotten away with it, but the thing is, the moment we move, it's going to turn, like everything's going to turn hostile again. And the problem is that what is actually happening, let me load my proper save. What's actually happening is that it's not a single point, right? It's not like a single line, which is the dividing line between hostility and non-hostility. There is in fact like an area of land in this part of the map, just past the Dragonflight leaders, where if you move while you're on it, that's the best way that I can think to describe it, is that there is a patch of ground where if you walk on it, things will turn hostile, and it ends before we get to this point here. I probably went further than I needed to, but I went far, like I went this far just to be on the safe side. So if you want to do what I've done, make sure you walk past the flight leaders. Things will turn hostile. Don't immediately save, keep walking. Like if you get to the point where I am here, you will definitely be safe. Maybe even a little bit before that, but you know what, just to be safe, you can easily get to the point where I excuse me, to where I am here without taking a lot of damage. I believe in you, you can do it, and if you do that, you will be safe. And you can walk through the rest of this dragon cave. I was gonna say freely, but you are still going to have to, oh god, deal with their annoying hitboxes. They remind me so much of the angels from Might and Magic VII, in that they will always get in your way and they'll be really annoying. But anyway, we are past the main obstacle to our exploration of these caves, and we're just gonna keep walking. And
I'm not sure what it is.
I did mention earlier that, you know, I would be trying to roleplay a little bit in this series. Although I did also give you the caveat that, you know, when we're doing game-breaking things and exploiting game mechanics, that doesn't always lend itself to role-playing. But you know, let's try and maybe rationalize what we've just done in a bit of a, like, give it some in-game rationale. Like, we're not supposed to be here, but the dragons are okay with it. Okay, sure, we'll maybe even allow ourselves to delve into a bit of a comedy here. Like, let's pretend that the reason the dragons allowed us through, like we were stopped by the flight leaders. They're like, what are you doing? You can't go back here. And imagine we said to them, well, listen, we need to go back there because we are here to do the annual inspection for these caves. Like, imagine that the three of us, myself, Elspeth, and Saori, are standing there in hard hats, gray overalls, and goggles with clipboards in our hands saying, listen, we're from the company, we're here to do an inspection. They're like, what do you... Obviously they're gonna ask, what are you here to inspect? We'll be like, oh, that's a good question. Like, oh no, we are here to inspect the ventilation in these caves. That's what we've come to do, because, you know, it's really important to have good airflow. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a cave, you know, it's important for your health. So that's what we are here to do. We're here from the company. Which company? Doesn't matter. It's some company. We're here to make sure your HVAC is operating properly. I mean, I guess HVAC is a bit too immersion breaking. Let's just leave it simple. Here to make sure the airflow is fine in these caves. And at this point, I'm gonna cast Wizard Eye. I deliberately have not cast this before, because the moment we cast it and we zoom out a little bit, we'll see that there are a lot of blue dots at a certain point in these caves. And those blue dots are the dragon's hoard, their pile of treasure. What we're gonna do is we are going to move towards that and help ourselves to that treasure. Alright, getting back into character. We're in these caves, dressed as inspection officers from the company. We've got our clipboards in our hand. We're walking around, looking very professional. We come to this room, and you know, we're walking around. We're like, yes, it's very good, but you know, like the problem you dragons are having, we can tell because we're professionals. Like the problem is that all the stuff on the ground, it's blocking the airflow. You know, it's not. You know, this has all got to go. So just gonna go ahead and take all of this stuff off your hands. No extra charge. Just gonna go ahead and pick all this stuff up. Don't worry, like we'll dispose of it professionally. You don't even have to worry about it. We're gonna pick all of this stuff up. I started with the gold because, you know, a good amount of gold, but gold is the least interesting part of what is lying on the floor of these caves.
Who knows?
Now we're going to start picking up items one by one, and how full is your inventory? Not even that full. So you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna look down just to make sure I can pick things up properly.
I have no idea what that is.
Some of
I have
these,
no
I like
idea.
this is, I know just from the graphic that this is an artifact.
I have no idea.
This may or may not be an artifact.
I have no
I
idea.
don't think this is an artifact.
I have no idea.
This might be, but oh.
I have no idea what
Don't
that
think
is.
that's an artifact.
I have no idea.
This is definitely an artifact.
I have no idea. what
That I
is.
don't think is an
I
artifact.
have no idea.
And I don't think these are artifacts either. One thing that's very important is to make sure you're not missing any items. For this, Wizard Eye is a must. You absolutely need it, because there are some item graphics that will really blend into this gray environment, and if you leave something behind, and if that something happens to an artifact, and if you are gone long enough that this area resets, and by the way, this area will reset very, very frequently, then you will lose that forever. So just make sure you are in it for the long haul. Make sure you have the inventory space or some way to go in and out, like Lloyd's Beacon. Like, of course, we don't have Lloyd's Beacon. We have Town Portal, which can take us out, but no easy way to get back in without going all the way back. And unfortunately, Garrote Gorge is not a Town Portal destination. So only these places plus these places are Town Portal destinations. So this is one reason why we're gonna need Lloyd's Beacon in the future, just to make this process easier, so we don't have to deal with the whole thing about loading our game and exploiting that little loophole in the game. And that, my friends, is the thing that I was talking about. That's what I intended to do in this episode, and I think you will agree that that qualifies as crazy enough to warrant all the build-up that I put into it. We went in, while my main character was still level 1, into a dragon cave and looted their entire hoard. Like, you cannot tell me that that is just a normal thing to do in an RPG. That, my friends, that's fucking crazy right there. And I will allow myself to swear in this series, just because I love this game. I don't want to be constrained during my commentary. Not that I swear that often, but every once in a while, swearing is it is an appropriate response to something outrageous that has just happened. And I think you will agree with me that robbing a dragon hoard at level 1 is pretty fucking outrageous. Alright, now that was step 1. Step 2 is we've got to leave.
I have no idea what that is. I have no idea.
And
I have no idea what that is.
check what are the artifacts that we've picked up. For that, I'm actually going to go back to Ravenshore. And it is plenty of time. The shops are going to be open for quite a while. Unfortunately, your ID item skill is very low. Vampires can become Grandmaster ID Monster. That's fun. Well, that's something we'll look into later on, but like,
Never seen it before.
his skill is a bit too low to identify any of these things. So now what we've got to do is got to see what it is we found. Starting with
We can outfit you.
this. Herald's Boots. Speed plus 30. Immunity to sleep. I'm actually gonna give these to my cleric. They're not the best for him because immunity to sleep should ideally then go to someone who can cure sleep. So someone with elemental spells. But I just think it looks so cool with the eventual equipment, like the other equipment that I'm gonna give to him. Like, it just, like the golden highlights on the boots just looks kind of like on the wings on the boots. It has a kind of angelic look to it. That's why I'm gonna give these to the cleric. These are okay gauntlets. They could have had a better enchantment, but Doom is okay. You can't do anything about that. This is not going to be a thing that's an artifact because it's not even the highest tier of item. But okay, we found some decent things. And you know what? I'll give you these gauntlets as well. And these boots. Let's equip them. Yes. There we go. Gauntlets too. You get some armor finally. And now I know
I have no idea.
that this is an artifact.
I have no idea.
And I
what
think
that
the staff is going to turn out to be the other artifact slash relic.
I have no idea what that
It
is.
might be the spear though, I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out right now.
Our axes are the best.
It did turn out to be the artifact, the Staff of Elements, which is a relic, which, I mean, it's pretty good. And I think it'll be a good one for our Lich when we get it. One for our party eventually. We also got a Dragon Harpoon, which is a good spear. And the Regnan Crossbow. Oh, that is not... Oh, I thought this was going to be an artifact, but it's not. Ooh. This is a bit of a pickle. Bit of a conundrum. Because I don't think either of those don't think either of those other things are also going to be artifacts, although we will quickly check with
Our axes are the best.
I mean,
Buzz off,
we
cheapskate.
went to the wrong place.
Rarities from across the land.
Ring of Few. Hey, this is our third artifact. Ooh, I was freaking out because I think this is a graphic that is also shared with other rings. I was so worried. I thought we had lost one of our artifacts. I thought we were going to...
Business was a pleasure.
I thought we were going to lose. I'm so glad we have. So the reason I'm hyperventilating a little bit right now is because you are supposed to find 3 artifacts. As long as there are 3 artifacts or relics to spawn in the pool of remaining special items, you are supposed to find 3 of them. And I thought this was going to be one, because I think there's a relic crossbow that looks kind of like this. But you know what, for now we'll just equip this. This mace isn't really going to do anything for us. This Ring of Fusion, actually, this is going to be pretty good. See, I was correct. This does share a graphic with a normal item. And Ruby Ring of Thought, I think we'll just sell that. Dark Magic is something worth holding on to. These are like items like this are good fodder for selling because like stat bonuses become less relevant as things go on. Although, like I think 100 points of intellect might have been enough to win that challenge. Anyway, so we found our 3 relics. The Staff of Elements, the Ring of Fusion. Long term it's going to go to a different character, but for now it's good because it's off water, which means the bonus of +3 will mean that Town Portal will work every single time. We won't have to worry about the annoyance of the spell occasionally fizzling out and not doing anything. And the Staff of Elements, which I guess my main character can... Oh, we'll deal with these fruit as well at some point. But for now, we're just going to... start wrapping up this episode. Before I wrap up,
Our axes are the best.
let's sell some of this stuff. I guess. You know what? Let's enchant before we sell. Just to get a bit more money, you know? Just to get a bit of money, and I think... Not high enough quality? Okay. Well, that kind of sucks.
Rarities from across the land.
Like, repairing it and then selling it is still overall worth it. We're holding on to that. Stone to Flesh, sure, we'll keep. These ones are kind of garbage. Magic Potion,
Business was a pleasure.
sure, and... let's sell this
We can outfit you.
basic shield to this guy. And what do we get? Oh, I don't want to dismiss her accidentally.
Our
But now let's
axes are the
sell
best.
these 2. And anything else that needs selling? We're holding on to that. Holding on to it for dear life because it is one of... It is part of our most important goal for this series, which is to get all the artifacts and all the relics. Oh, and those... I love those boots. But anyway, okay. With that bit of inventory management done, I guess you can hold on to this as well. With that bit of inventory management done, it is time to draw things to a close. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I freaked out a little bit when I wasn't sure what the third artifact was going to be, but it all worked out in the end. So let's recap what we did. We went to Garrote Gorge. We messed around for a bit before we went to the Dragon Caves. In the Dragon Caves, we picked up Ithilgor the Dragon, which under normal circumstances would be the most exciting thing to have happen to you in an episode, to have a dragon join your party. But as I mentioned, this is no normal episode. So after we picked up Ithilgor the Dragon, we went deeper into the Dragon Caves, into parts of the caves that we shouldn't have been allowed into, and indeed under normal circumstances would not be allowed into, but thanks to the way the game implements the gatekeeping system to keep you out, we were able to bypass that entirely, and the dragons allowed us to wander around the area freely. And as a consequence, we looted their entire hoard, picking up a bunch of gold and 3 different artifacts. Now, could we have gotten better artifacts? Sure, like some better ranged weapons would have been nice. Like this bow is okay, I guess. Excuse me. And you know what? We might as well... I think we can enchant this. Like, we might as well enchant it and see what we get. That is one of the worst possible enchantments you could have put on that, but you know what, it's okay. We'll sell it eventually for better ranged weapons. So we looted the entire dragon horde, giving us, let's remind ourselves, this Staff of Elements, these wonderful Herald's Boots, and finally, the Ring of Fusion. And let's remind ourselves how many artifacts we have so far. 5 of them. Breaker, Herald Boots, Staff, plus 2 more that are both equipped on you. And it really is time to end this video, but next video, before I get into the proper... Although, you know what, I'll mention it now, because I said next video, like after we're done with this, we're going to be starting our proper playthrough. So I will mention that this is going to be my strategy for getting all the artifacts, is to get all of them in the controlled environment that is Ravenshore, Alvar, and Garrote Gorge. Every time those areas reset, they will give us new artifacts. And we know that this chest is only supposed to give us 1. We know that the Alvar chest is only supposed to give us 1. We know the caves are supposed to have 3. So we know exactly how many, and we don't have to run into the issue of, like maybe we looted an artifact from the corpse of a high-level enemy, but we didn't realize it because the game didn't tell us, and then like we dropped the item, or sold it or something. We'll never have to worry about that. And we also won't have to worry about opening up really crowded chests and being like, did the game try to spawn 3, or were we already at our limit? Is that why we only got 2? Like, we won't have to worry about that either. We are going to be getting our artifacts in this very controlled way, and the details of that aren't fully fleshed out. Mainly, the issue is going to be, how are we going to advance game time reliably enough to cause those areas to reset? Because you can't just make that happen. Like, a certain amount of in-game months have to elapse. Excuse me. But that's going to be something for me to worry about as the series progresses. But yes, that finally is the plan that I mentioned before for how I'm going to do all the artifacts, which I can finally reveal to you now that this episode is done and we've looted the dragon horde, and I can stop being coy about the whole thing. So yes, on that note, it is time to finally end this video. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and if you did, do consider leaving a like, and if you want to follow along with the series, do consider subscribing. I did mention that the tone of the playthrough is going to change a bit in the next episode. We're going to be done doing crazy stuff for a while, and we're going to be moving on to some relatively more traditional RPG style questing and exploration. So I do hope you'll join me for that, and until then, take care.